I want you to close your eyes for a second. We're going to Alexandria, Egypt.
It's 2015.
Right. It's 2015. You're standing on a street corner in a really dense residential neighborhood. You can smell the Mediterranean, that heavy, salty humidity that just sticks to your skin.
But you're not looking at the sea.
No, you're looking at an apartment building. And it looks like every other building on the block, except for the way people behave when they get near it.
It's subtle at first, but if you watch closely, you see the pattern break.
Yeah.
Conversations stop. Pedestrians speed up. They keep their heads down, eyes fixed on the pavement. They are actively refusing to look up at the windows on the second floor.
It's almost like a magnetic field of pure avoidance.
Exactly, because they know who lives there. Or maybe more accurately, they know what lives there.
We're talking about a man the neighborhood calls Sheikh Mohammed. He's 70 years old. But this isn't your kindly grandfather sitting on the balcony watching the world go by.
Not at all.
This is a man who leaves his home carrying a dark, heavy briefcase. He speaks to absolutely no one. And then he just vanishes back behind these massive, reinforced, heavy doors.
And behind those doors, it's not a normal living space. It's a stage set designed for nightmares.
Yeah, the descriptions of this place are wild.
It was a sanctuary of shadows, dim lighting, the smell of stale incense that had basically seeped into the plaster over the years, walls completely covered in incomprehensible drawings.
And the shelves.
The shelves, groaning under the weight of ancient dusty grimoire. To the locals, he wasn't just reckless. They called him the Heir of Demons.
The Heir of Demons. That nickname alone gives me chills.
Oh, it's terrifying.
Today on The Deep Dive, we are unpacking the story of this man. We're looking at how a guy with seemingly no past managed to hold an entire community in a grip of absolute terror for 30 years.
30 years.
Yeah, it's an incredible run. And we're going to break down the dark arts he claimed to master, the police reports, the witness testimonies.
But here's the thing we need to be really clear on right from the jump. This isn't a story about magic.
Right.
If you're looking for actual supernatural events, you are in the wrong place. This is a masterclass in psychological warfare.
He really is.
It's about how a predator identifies the cracks in a person's psyche, desperation, grief, fear, and just pries them open.
So let's peel back the layers here. The neighbors in Alexandria said he appeared out of nowhere. One account literally called him a satanic planting, like he just sprouted from the ground one day.
Because nobody's born a 70-year-old sorcerer.
No. Everyone has an origin story.
And his starts way back, decades before he ever set foot in Alexandria. We have to look at Mohammed as a young man, fresh out of high school.
Okay.
He's standing at a crossroads that a lot of young people face. He sees the traditional path, university, a low-level government job, a modest salary, a quiet life, and he looks at that path with total disdain.
He didn't just want a job, he wanted status.
He wanted power. There's a distinct narcissism in his profile even back then. He realized that traditional education wouldn't give him the kind of control he craved. So he pivoted.
He became an autodidact.
Right, but not of history or science. He started obsessively reading the works of a man named Abdel Fattah el-Tuki.
I went down a bit of a rabbit hole on el-Tuki while prepping for this. He's known as the heir of Iblis, the heir of Satan. His books are basically the textbooks for this kind of red magic in the region, right?
Exactly. El-Tuki wrote extensive guides on how to contact the jinn. Now, for context, in Islamic cosmology, jinn aren't just fairy tales or genies in a lamp.
Right. They're not granting 3 wishes.
No. They are beings created from smokeless fire. They coexist with humans, and they possess free will. They can be good, bad, or indifferent. El-Tuki's writings claim to teach you how to bind these entities to your will.
So young Mohammed isn't just reading these for fun. He's treating it like a PhD program.
He was incredibly disciplined about it. He enrolled in the Al-Shart Institute to study El-Tuki's methods formally. He even took correspondence courses with the Ibris Institute for Astronomical Sciences.
Hold on, correspondence courses. Like mail-order wizardry.
It sounds ridiculous to us now, but think about the era. This was his way of building credentials. He was gathering paper to prove he knew things other people didn't.
That makes sense.
But here's the real twist. While he was studying the magic, he was actually learning something much more practical. He was learning the cold read.
Weaponized empathy.
Precisely. He was learning how to look at a stranger and spot their insecurity before they even open their mouth. He learned that if you tell someone exactly what they fear, they will completely believe you have the power to fix it.
So, fast forward a bit. He's armed with these psychological tricks and a stack of creepy books. He's in his 20s, living in Cairo. And this is where the story shifts from a biography to a domestic thriller.
Because he's leading a double life.
Right. To the outside world, he's a humble factory worker.
Yeah.
He gets married. His wife thinks she's starting a normal life. But once the door closes,
The mask comes off.
imagine being that wife. You come home expecting dinner or just a normal conversation, and instead you find papers covered in bizarre symbols scattered on the floor.
Talismans.
Yeah, talismans.
Yeah.
You find your husband sitting alone in a dark room, whispering to empty corners.
It's a textbook campaign of terror. She realized pretty quickly he wasn't working at a factory. The whispering, the symbols, this was his actual trade.
And when she finally gathered the courage to confront him, to ask for a divorce, he didn't argue like a normal spouse.
No, he attacked her reality.
He told her he had cast a lower work on her. That's black magic, right?
Yes, magic with the intent to harm. He told her she would never marry again, that her life would be absolute ruin. And then he manages to do something truly terrifying.
She started hallucinating.
She reported seeing the drawings on the walls actually moving.
That is the part that stuck with me the most. How do you do that? How do you make someone see moving walls without drugs?
It's the power of suggestion, amplified by extreme stress. If you keep someone in a state of sleep deprivation, constant anxiety, and fear, their brain becomes highly suggestible.
Like a waking nightmare.
Exactly. If an authority figure, which he was to her, says, look, the wall is moving, the brain struggles to process the visual data and can actually manufacture that movement to align with the expectation.
Wow.
It's gaslighting escalated to literal psychological torture.
She was living in a horror movie.
She was, but she's also the first hero of this story. Because she didn't go to another sorcerer to break the spell. She didn't buy into his framework.
She went to a psychiatrist.
She chose science over the supernatural.
She realized, I am not cursed, I am being abused.
Yeah.
She got the divorce. She escaped. And that loss of control seemed to spook him, because right after the divorce, Mohammed vanished from Cairo completely.
Which brings us back to where we started, Alexandria.
He resurfaces, now 40 years old. The factory worker persona is dead. The young apprentice is gone. He arrives as a blank slate.
He has absolutely no history in this neighborhood, and he spends the next 30 years building an empire.
And he was patient about it. He didn't start by putting up a billboard.
No, he started by integrating. He bought a supermarket, then a laundromat. He remarried, had children. He looked like a pillar of the community. But he let the rumors do the work for him.
The whispers. He can fix things. He can cure illness. He can break curses.
Exactly. And once the reputation was firmly established, he introduced the product line. Let's talk about the rings.
The spiritual rings. This part feels like a modern tech scam, just with medieval coat of paint.
It was essentially a subscription service. He sold these metal bands claiming they had a servant or a jinn attached to them. An entry-level ring was about 400 Egyptian pounds.
Expensive, but attainable.
But if he sensed you had money, or if he sensed you were desperate enough to borrow it, he had the premium tier.
We're talking rings selling for 400,000 pounds. That's a house. That's a life savings.
It is. And the brilliance of the scam was the recharging mechanism. He told them the ring's energy would fade, so they had to come back to him to replenish it.
He created a dependency loop.
He also used a categorization system called the metals.
This is the gold, silver, tin thing, right?
Right. He would take a person's name and birth date, use a system called abjad numerals to turn the letters into numbers, and calculate their spiritual metal.
It gave the whole thing a veneer of mathematical legitimacy.
But really, it was a credit check. If you were tin, he knew you were low value. If you were gold, he knew he could bleed you dry.
Let's walk through a specific case, because the abstraction hides how cruel this really was. There's the case of the woman, let's call it the gold woman, who came to him because she couldn't get married.
This is a classic example. In her social context, remaining unmarried was a source of massive pressure. She's incredibly vulnerable. She walks into that dimly lit apartment. He does the cold read.
He asks her name, scribbles some fake math.
And he looks her in the eye. And he validates her worst fear. He says, you're right. There is a powerful block on you.
That moment must be intoxicating for the victim. Finally, someone sees the problem.
Relief is the trap. Once she accepts the diagnosis, she has to accept the cure. He tells her that because her metal is gold, the jinn will only accept payment in gold.
Convenient.
Incredibly. But then he escalates. He demands specific incense, which he sells at a massive markup, and then he demands a piece of her underwear.
Why? I mean, beyond the obvious creepiness, how did he justify that?
He claimed the curse was attached to her clothing, so he needed the clothing to break it. But psychologically, this is about breaking boundaries.
It's a grooming technique.
If I can get you to hand over something that intimate, I own you. You are now complicit. You feel shame, and shame keeps you silent.
And did he cure her?
Of course not. He performed a ritual, probably used some ventriloquism to throw his voice, made the lights flicker, and then gave her a vague description of her enemy.
The person who cursed you is a woman? Short? With dark hair.
Which is basically describing half the population. So she goes home, she looks at her cousin or her neighbor who fits that description, and she thinks it was her.
He successfully redirected her anger away from him and toward her own community.
He did this for 30 years. He had assistants. He even had social media pages later on. He felt completely untouchable.
But every predator eventually gets careless. 2015. The final case.
This is where the story turns. A new victim arrives from outside Alexandria. Her problem is heartbreakingly common in these cases: infertility.
She had tried doctors, she had tried everything. She was at the end of her rope.
Mohammed sees this woman, sees the desperation, and he gets greedy. He overplayed his hand. He told her the standard ring wouldn't work.
He bumped the price from 5,000 to 12,000 pounds immediately.
But then he dropped the bomb. He told her that money wasn't enough.
He claimed the jinn had a specific physical demand.
He told her that to break the curse, he had to channel the jinn and have sexual intercourse with her.
It's sickening. It's sexual assault wrapped in a medical treatment.
It is the ultimate predation. But he miscalculated. This woman, she didn't crumble. She was horrified, yes, but her survival instinct kicked in. She realized she was in a room with a monster and she needed to get out.
So she lied.
She improvised. She told him she couldn't do it there, in his apartment, his temple. She convinced him that for the ritual to work, he had to come to her location. She gave him an address.
And his ego was so inflated after 30 years of control that he actually bought it?
He packed his famous black bag, the one the neighbors always feared, and he left his sanctuary. He traveled to the meeting spot. He gets there. He sees the woman waiting on the corner. He approaches, thinking he's about to claim another victim.
Instead,
the trap snaps shut. It wasn't a rendezvous. It was a sting operation. Police officers swarm him. They handcuff the heir of demons right there on the street.
And the neighbor, the people who'd walked past his door in terror for decades, they watched him get dragged away like a common thief.
And this is where the story takes a twist that really changes how we view those 30 years. Because they take him to the station, they run his fingerprints, and the mystery of his origins suddenly clears up.
The heir of demons had a record.
And suddenly, those missing years, the time between his divorce in Cairo and his appearance in Alexandria, make perfect sense. He hadn't vanished into the ether. He had been in prison.
For what?
Charlatanism and sorcery. He had been arrested in Cairo 32 years prior for the exact same scam.
So prison didn't stop him. It refined him.
Prison was his graduate school? He realized that in Cairo he had been too loud, too reckless. He learned that to succeed, he needed to be quieter, more exclusive. Scarier.
That explains the heavy doors, the absolute silence, the refusal to mingle with neighbors. He wasn't being mysterious for the sake of magic. He was being careful to avoid going back to jail.
Precisely. He crafted the heir of demons persona specifically to keep people away. If people fear you, they don't report you. They don't gossip about you to the police. They just look away.
It's a brilliant, if totally evil, defense mechanism. And in the interrogation, the facade just crumbled, didn't it?
Immediately. He confessed to all of it. He admitted it was all a business. The magic, the jinn, the talismans, it was just theater. A way to exploit the weak for money and pleasure.
It's tragic to think about the neighbors. They spent 30 years terrified of a man they thought had supernatural powers, but he was just an ex-con with a grift.
It really forces us to look at the nature of belief. Muhammad had zero magical ability, none. He couldn't summon a fly, let alone a demon. Yet he controlled a community for 3 decades.
Why?
Because the community believed he could.
His power didn't come from the books on his shelf. It came from the minds of the people looking at him. We gave him that power.
That is the most chilling takeaway here. The Heir of Demons was a co-creation. It was built by his greed, sure, but it was sustained by our collective need for easy answers to impossible problems. We want to believe there's a magical solution to infertility or loneliness or poverty.
And as long as we have that desire, there will be men like Muhammad waiting in the shadows to sell it to us.
Waiting for that next desperate knock on the door.
It makes you wonder about the modern equivalents, too. I mean, we don't always walk down to the scary apartment at the end of the block anymore. Today, the cold reading is done by algorithms.
Oh, that's a fascinating point.
Right. Your phone knows when you're desperate, when you're lonely, when you're sick. It reads your data instead of your star sign, and then it feeds you exactly the cure you want to see, whether it's a fake wellness supplement or a financial scam. The medium changed, but the predation is exactly the same.
The digital heir of demons.
That is a thought that's going to keep me looking over my shoulder, both on the street and online. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the heir of demons. Stay curious, stay skeptical, and we'll catch you on the next one.